Mr. Heat Blister. I'm Mr. Sun. I'm Mr. Green Christmas. I'm Mr. 101. They call me Heat Miser. Whatever I touch melts within my clutch. I'm too much. Is that too much? Some pretty sweet imagery there from the southwestern limb of the closest star from SDO. The most likely place to see a large solar flare is indeed in the southwestern limb. There's the equatorial zoom. Magnetically speaking, the most likely place to see a large solar flare is this sunspot. Proximity-wise, the most likely place to see a large solar flare is that sunspot. Those are the facts. We'll bring you those. And plenty more today at the Daily Space Weather Show. And here is that most magnetically complex sunspot. It's a bit on the large side. One of the umbrae is about the size of the entire planet Earth, if you consider that big. I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And we'll bring you more solar imagery here in a moment. Sunspots have grown since yesterday. So we've seen the sunspot number drop a little bit. That's from setting sunspots on the west. We've had more sunspots rise in the east and growth of sunspots all over the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. A major solar uptick continues today. There is the magnetogram, the SDO colorized magnetogram for December 19th and December 20th to date. And let's take a brief look at volcanoes. So first of all, Fagradalsfjall has been simmering down since we first covered it. And there's some lava fountaining happening as we create the video. So check it out. There you go. Some lava fountaining there at Fagradalsfjall. And it's looking about like this. There's the aerial view, a fantastic image there. There's the town of Grindavik. It is still at some risk, so we'll be keeping you posted as to what happens there. The Reykjanes Peninsula continues to be a volcanically active area. Some countermeasures have been taken. And here's a great aerial view. Just a berserk aerial view there. Dag. Sometimes having a drone is more awesome than other times. And of course, if you own a drone, let us know in the comments. Perhaps we'll feature your awesome drone footage. Maybe you'll even come to Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania and take some drone footage of a bicycle race, which is something it's very hard to get very good views of. What are you going to do? Chase us on a skateboard? And you can find that at volcanodiscovery.com, by the way, if you're wondering, volcanodiscovery.com. Of course, that is actually a share on Twitter. We've also got other erupting volcanoes to get to, so let's get to them. Mount Ibu continues to explode and produce an 8,000-foot ash plume, 15,000-foot ash plume over Semeru, 11,000-footer over Dakono, Kanaga in the Aleutian Islands there now on the list. Volcano alert raised to yellow advisory. Popocatépetl also exploding, flight level 190. It's a 19,000-foot ash plume. Santiaguito exploding, 15,000-foot ash plume. Fuego exploding, 15,000-foot ash plume. 21,000-foot ash plume over Sangay. Revenador, flight level 150. It's a 15,000-foot ash plume. And let's move on to seismic activity. There was one large quake indeed, although not that huge, and it took place deep in the Andes. There is the location of that. 6+ magnitude quake. Mountains have the tendency to dampen the amount of effects felt from that, so fairly non-injurious earthquake there. It was also at 93.4 kilometers. We'll cite quakes of a 5 and greater magnitude for the past 24 hours, that is. First on the list is the South Sandwich Islands with a 5.6. That was at 12:09, and then just 2 minutes later, 12:09 at South Sandwich Islands, 12:11 at Peru in the Andes Mountains. And that's it. Those are the only quakes of a 5 or greater magnitude for the past 24 hours. Here's some more solar imagery for you from SDO. That's 190. That's 304 plus 171. We're also going to show you 304 by itself. And before we get to coronal holes and filaments and things like that, let's move on to the radio flux. Yeah, the 10.7 centimeter radio flux, now all the way up to 195 solar flux units. And here's the 1 year graph to contextualize that. It's actually way up here. 195 is the new radio flux number. Will we reach new highs for Solar Cycle 25's radio flux in the coming days? Let us know in the comments what you think. That is the past year. Space Weather Enthusiast Dashboard not forecasting any geomagnetic storms or geomagnetic unrest conditions. What can you say? Here's what I can say. These are the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. So things are fairly calm here. The solar wind has indeed been subsiding since yesterday. It's been getting slower and also more diffuse. No strong magnetic fields at the moment. We've got geomagnetically calm conditions. Here is Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And you may be expecting the same thing, which is exactly what you're going to get. Geomagnetically calm conditions. KP index is currently at 1.67. A global average of geomagnetism. KP 1.67, and here comes the solar wind. So solar wind, again, losing some steam since yesterday. A little bit slower and a little more diffuse. As measured by the ACE, let's switch to the Discover. It's more up to date. Discover they're showing about 5.5 protons per cubic centimeter for the density. Solar wind velocity under 500 kilometers per second at 485 kps. That's kilometers per second, if you're wondering. Goes magnetometers there, fairly smooth. And next comes our top view ecliptic plane field plot. This is a reference to the magnetosphere, and this is some of the best data you could possibly imagine viewing about the sun. Our Gong 2 data, part of the National Sunspot Observatory. The NSO, the National Solar Observatory, I should say. Earth is still in a North Pole-oriented sector. We are still seeing some variations happening over there on the east side of the heliosphere. Here's our line of sight field plot. And you see big variations happening there in the B field as magnetic indecision continues on the eastern portion of the closest star. Here's our coronal hole line of sight plot. And let's bring up the latest image here. This is from 2114 Universal Time. We've got a pretty obvious split here. We've got North Pole coronal holes down here. These are north, and these are south. So that is the current scenario as the solar polar field reversal process continues on, and the forecasted coronal hole uptick continues. It's become time to get to sunspots. And by the way, there's a bunch of activity going on the far side of the sun. You may see some flashing in that imagery. We'll let it play through one more time. So there are some large flares happening on the far side of the sun. You'll see some wild flashing happening there. That is what happens when you see large solar flares that are not on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. And let's get to sunspots. Well, sunspot number has dipped since yesterday, which was a bit of a surprise. You can expect to see this rise a lot. So this is going to be approaching 200 by tomorrow's daily space weather video. This little hiccup in activity is not going to last. We've seen a marked increase in sunspot number since yesterday. Current sunspot number at about 160 sunspots. Next, our solar flare probability and scoreboard. Most magnetically complex sunspot is 3529. That's this group here. Most likely place to produce a large flare is 50-50. Either this group, 3529, or this group over here, 3519. So those are the two hot spots to watch, the most likely place for large solar flares. We do also have significant possibility for some flaring on the eastern limb, but again, 3529 and 3519 are my picks. If you've got different ones, let us know in the comments. Here's the past 24 hours from the ever-popular Solar Dynamics Observatory. And don't worry, we've got an awesome zoom in on that sunspot there in the southeast. The one that's close to the size of the Earth. There you go, there's the largest umbra, and you can see that growing in the past 24 hours. That will also increase the sunspot number, or at least all the other additional umbrae growing all over the closest star's Earth-facing portion. You can see some in the upper right of your frame right there. Some sunspots just grew and then evaporated quicker than they can be counted. But lots of activity here as we get closer and closer to solar maximum. So that brings us to energetic particles and flares. First, SEPs. No spikes in the proton flux. No SEPs in the past 3 days. The X-ray background flux is still at about a C2 level, about a C2 background flux for the X-ray flux, and no M-class flares there for over 3 days. Before we get to star charts, here is the full disk 94 plus 131 angstroms wavelengths from SDO. We'll also put up the close-up there of that is my favorite place for a large flare, that setting sunspot group in the southwest. Here's an extreme close-up of it. And before we get to that, let's take a look at a star chart. There's what's going on overhead. If you look up in the sky and you see the moon between two bright objects, that's Saturn and Jupiter. Moon will appear closer to Jupiter tonight. That's how to tell the two apart. And here comes your solar system forecast. That's where things are today. That's where things will be in 1 week as we approach the end of 2023. Where did the time go, folks? Where did the time go? Today's featured astronomy photo of the day is apod.nasa.gov's astronomy photo of the day. And check it out, just an awesome series of ice rings there. So this is dependent on a lot of different features. It's dependent on, first of all, the hexagonal shape of ice crystals. Also, the altitude of different atmospheric layers, the incoming light. So a great image there if you'd like that for your desktop, apod.nasa.gov. From Bavaria, Germany. So those are the Alps behind that lonely church there. And this area right here, I believe, is the rarest, as this requires very specific light angles, temperatures, humidity profiles, and apod.nasa.gov. That's the astronomy photo of the day. Ice halos over Bavaria. And let's get to CMEs. CMEs, they're one of the more exciting things when the sun blasts off massive portions of material out of its, quote, atmosphere, end quote. So here are CMEs from yesterday. See yesterday's daily space weather video for a breakdown of those. That's 76 frames from December 19th. Here are some more frames from today, December 20th. An additional 89 frames. And things have remained quiet here. So the sun has been a plasma miser. I might be heat miser, but the sun is plasma miser. It has been withholding plasma throughout the solar cycle. Let's take a look at some more images here of coronagraphs. Here we've got C2 and C3. We're going to pause the C2 here so C3 can catch up. C2 on the left is slightly ahead of C3 there, like about 2 hours. Again, things have been calm for the past 24, so not a lot to report as far as coronal mass ejections go. I have not spied any likely Earth-directed coronal mass ejections. If you disagree, let us know in the comments. And remember, folks, we encourage rage comments. Yes, rage comments. If you are mad about something I've said, make sure you tell us in its full glory, as your comments will not be censored. You will not be muted or banned in any way, at least not by us. Anyway, here's the imagery from Stereo A, which we're going to show very briefly. Very, very briefly, because we want to show our custom coronagraphs instead. So there you go. There are some custom coronagraphs. That's SDO 193 plus 304 and the LASCO C2. And the most active region right now as far as CMEs is certainly this area right here. Why? Because there's one propagating as we create the video. So there's a coronal mass ejection happening right now. So let's get to that. But first, filaments. Filaments, filaments, wherefore art thou, filaments? Because magnetic fields, and check it out, the Lance Armstrong filament is now becoming unstable. Now this filament down here, I'm going to call this one filament. That's been named after me. Shout out to Sherry O'Neill Driggers. This one's Lance Armstrong. This one is Bill Maher. So we're hoping all three of these are able to end civilization soon. Just kidding, folks. Just kidding. Civilization is not ending. However, some more new dense filaments here rolling in on the eastern limb as the Bill Maher sets in the southwest. Here's the grayscale imagery, and again, more prominence is here rising over the eastern limb, so it looks like more sunspots perhaps behind that southeastern and northeastern limbs as sunspot activity continues to ramp up and up and up toward solar cycle 25 solar maximum. If you want to name filaments after living people, join us over on Twitter. x.com/smashomash is the website. And let's get to, before we get to bonus features, actually, how about the past couple of hours from the EGOS 16 SUVI. There you go. And like I said, a CME is happening right down here, coronal mass ejection. It's not likely to be earthly directed. Some flaring as well out of this sunspot group. So how's that for a forecast coming true and before we can even get done uploading the video? There you go. That's a thing. And let's get the bonus features. First of all, satellite charging hazards. We ain't got none. It's smooth sailing for satellites at the moment. No surface or internal charging hazards for satellites. Goes electron flux here, moving into warning territory, so we might see some satellite charging hazards. Look for those around the day-night or night-day transition. GOES electron flux here in warning levels for the GOES 18. There's the 1-year graph of the electron flux. And that will be much higher when it updates. Solon.info is where to find that data if you want to look at it yourself. And there's the NOAA forecast, pretty spot on there, maybe just a little bit behind, but NOAA expecting an uptick. I think I agreed yesterday. Next, we'll show the layer where it is measured. The F layer is where it's measured. The bridge between Earth and space. Here it is in vibrational frequency. And things will be calmer today than they were yesterday, since there is no geomagnetic storm conditions currently under this map. Anyway, there's the anomalygram, and you'll see a lot less red on it and a lot more blue than we showed on yesterday's video, which would probably be no surprise to our regular viewers. So that's our ionosphere map, depicting an anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. The F layer is located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. Latest image shown right there, 2300 universal time. There's the raw vibrational frequency. There is the anomalygram. Next, the wham. Last Christmas we didn't show this, but this year we will, so you don't get pissed. This year, to save you from fear, we'll show you this wham. It's special, special. That's our global ionosphere nowcast. It shows the total electron contents on the left along with the anomaly, maximum usable frequency on the right along with anomaly, and we're moving on to total electron content by itself. Feel free to pause the video on this frame if you're not familiar with distances in miles. There is the total electron content. This will show you the most likely places for errors in your GPS. It's literally a count of free electrons which cause signal refraction between your GPS handset and your satellite. We'll close out space weather with the latest intensitygram and latest magnetogram. We've seen an increase in sunspots since yesterday. I know the number came down. That's from setting groups in the west. We're ahead of the updates. We've got more sunspots that have risen in the northeast. More groups possible to rise in the northeast as well as southeast, not including this rather large sunspot. It is only alpha class that has just recently risen. Anyway, there's the full disk. And let's get to waves. Yeah, waves. Who's making waves? Well, low pressure systems are making waves. And that is some serious high sea activity there. Nearly 36-foot seas in a large portion of the North Atlantic there south of Iceland and northwest of Ireland. Those are the world's largest waves. It could be an exciting day to be on a Viking longboat if you want to dip your foot in the water of sailing the high seas. Those seas are pretty freaking high. Anyway, here come our normally scheduled meteorology segments. Surface winds of the eastern world. Jet streams of the east shown here. Jet streams of the central world here. Surface winds. Surface winds of the west. And our jet streams. Next, clouds and fog over the west. There are the Americas. Shortwave radiation map as it clouds up once again over Brazil. Following sunset, strong low there near the Azores in the North Atlantic. Here's a close-up of this low that's been controlling the weather in Southern California. We showed it yesterday. Told you it's going to slide down the California coast, which is exactly what it's done. And there it is. Now somewhere off the coast of Catalina. Sweet imagery there of a strong low, but without that much moisture in it. So it's not all that wet of a low, but it is kicking things up. creating some additional convection. Next, our snow cover map. That is where the snow currently lies. Quite a bit of snow around the southeastern shore of Lake Erie, for example. There's the full northern hemisphere view. That is where the current snowpack is located. There's the U.S. by itself and Canada. And here's our weather.gov map. Weather.gov is where to get your warnings. Those are too many counties and waterways for us to cover. Weather.gov if your location is lit. Click your location on the weather.gov map and get your forecast. Otherwise, I don't know what to do. Here's the thing. That's a 72-hour GFS temperature, pressure, and precipitation forecast. Some snow here to spread across Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas into Colorado. The U.S. hot air capital. 72-hour precipitation forecast. That's precipitation in inches. More heavy rains coming to portions of California. There it is on the map. You can see the graphics. 72-hour GFS total accumulated precipitation forecast in inches. Here is our jet stream forecast for the next 72 hours. Weak jet stream pattern will be focused down around the Gulf, actually. So we'll have a very far south jet stream. That is a 72-hour GFS 250 millibar wind forecast. And last but not least, from tropicaltidbits.com, here is our temperature anomaly forecast. Most of the country here to be anomalously warm in the coming days. So that is our pre-Christmas Eve forecast. As the year screechingly reaches a close, folks. 2023, but it's been kind of quick. Would you say? Let us know in the comments what you think. Next, lightning. Gotta have lightning. I mean, this is the about 10-hour lightning map. As lightning forms once again over Brazil following sunset. Kapow! Here's a real-time lightning map from lightningmaps.org. Shout out to Bruce Minas. Is he located at Manaus? I don't know. But shout out to Bruce. As thunderstorms develop over your nation once again. Before we close out, don't forget to press the like button. Tell your friends and foes about the channel. Yeah, tell your friends and your foes about the channel. We've got something for everyone, folks. We've got something to make anybody angry on the channel. So make sure you put your rage comments up, press like, subscribe, share, etc. Click the links in the description. Help increase the probability this channel will continue to exist, remain publicly visible, and free for all to view. Once again, congratulations on realizing it exists. We remain surprised. Don't worry, it's only the world's most comprehensive daily space weather show and detailed solar imagery. No big deal. If you want to support the channel, becoming a member of the Smash Team. SmashOmash.com/Smash Team is the site to find us. You can probably visit a website if you're able to see this video, SmashOmash.com/Smash Team. There's a bronze, a silver, a gold annual paid-up subscription. If you want to contribute to the channel, consider joining the SmashOmash.com/forum. One of the features there is our General Science Forum, which means if you click this link right here, you'll be able to find our Ask a Particle Physicist segment right there. And you can ask a question to a particle physicist, namely, the monotone from Minsk, it's Eugene Bagashov. Submit a question. Visit our paid promotional links, like our Amazon shop. Amazon.com/shop/SmashOmash is a place where you could get some infrared therapeutic lighting. What up with that? There you go. 18 LEDs to reduce pain and increase skin circulation, decrease the likelihood of developing skin problems from being indoors in extremely dry environments. Amazon.com/shop/SmashOmash. You can also save 10% at hemplucid.com by entering the promo code SmashOmash10. SmashOmash10, it'll save you 10% on THC-free, Delta 8, CBDs for your pets, body balms and lip balms, mushroom gummies, stress, immune, and sleep stacks, CBD tinctures, literally everything on the site. Save 10% with the promo code SMASHOMASH10 at hemplucid.com. Today's featured product from the merch shop is imbecile. Yes, imbecile. Because did you know it's an adjective, folks? Which means don't be an imbecile. Imbecile. Yeah, it's an adjective. What an underused word. Imbecile. I mean, come on, folks. Bring it back. It's one of those old-timey words that used to be really used in psychology. Now it's not anymore. It is a reference to a person with an IQ of like, I don't know, 15 to 20 or some crazy low number. Don't be an imbecile. Recognize that it's an adjective. Visit our merch shop linked below this video. In the description, you can also find the link on the homepage at smashomash.com. And thanks to the Smash team. Also, thanks to each and every one of you YouTube viewers, our new subscribers, etc. Congratulations once again on realizing the channel exists. And let's take a look at the area of heaviest rain. North of LA there, around places like Atascadero and Paso Robles. I never heard of that at all. Anyway, there's the full weather.gov, radar.weather.gov map. Radar.weather.gov, folks. That's the Doppler. That's the 48 state view. Here is the shortwave radiation map view. Lots of low clouds here over the western Atlantic. Look at all those low clouds. Gloomy skies. And here's the water vapor map. That should clear things up. If your Doppler is unclear, here's a recap. Once again, a U.S. Doppler radar. There is clouds and fog. There is water vapor. And here's me climbing back into the volcano. I'm Mr. Green Christmas. I'm Mr. Sun. I'm Mr. Heat Blister. I'm Mr. 101. They call me.